Hello and welcome to a very special episode of 27 Topics. My name is Ty Hunter. There's people out there thinking about the military, or maybe you have questions and don't know how to go about asking that. We have people here to help you. Sergeant Stetter, Sergeant McCarthy, and Captain Mabis from the 1st Battalion, 152nd Infantry, based here in Jasper. Obviously, there are some great benefits for joining the Army National Guard. Can you tell us about some of them and how they work?
Well, Ty, there are a lot of benefits to the Army National Guard. Number one, I think the $20,000 bonus, that's huge. Everybody that is qualified to enlist in the Army National Guard will receive a $20,000 enlistment bonus for non-prior service, meaning that's their first term in the military. So if a junior in high school would enlist in the Army National Guard, he would definitely get a $20,000 enlistment bonus.
Right, and on the same lines as that, that $20,000 enlistment bonus goes towards select MOSs, which military occupational specialties, which is basically a skill that you're going to join the military for. And some other ones might only offer a $10,000, but there's ways around to get a little bit more money. Sometimes you can do a quick ship. If you ship from the time you sign up, within 45 days of that day, you can get an extra $5,000. Or if you ship in off-peak season, if you're a kid that's already graduated high school and just still thinking about the military, you can sign up, and if you go between November and March, that's called the off-peak season, you can get another $5,000 for that, for up to $20,000 enlistment bonus.
You also have your 100% college tuition. That's to any state-funded college in the state of Indiana right now. With your 100% college tuition, there's the Montgomery GI Bill and the GI Bill kicker. The Montgomery GI Bill right now is at $298 a month. That's pretty much free money. It's meant for your books and room and board. So that's another benefit out there from the National Guard.
Okay, what is the first step to enlisting or deciding if the Army National Guard is for you?
Well, the first thing you need to do is contact your local recruiter. Me and Sergeant McCarthy are both the local recruiters here in Jasper. Just be comfortable when you talk to a recruiter. They're not there to discourage you or do anything wrong. The reason they are recruiters is they've chose that's a career path they want to do. They want to help people enlist in the military to change their lives. So definitely contact your recruiter if you're even thinking about it.
Now, one thing I do want to make a point of, just because you call a recruiter, that does not mean that you are enlisting in the Army National Guard. If you just have questions, just please call the recruiter's office, and I know they tell us the number of that to get in contact with you.
There's 3 ways to contact your recruiter. The best way to contact your recruiter is to stop by the Armory. Of course, we're not always there, so if that doesn't work, you can call the 1-800-GO-GUARD number, or you can call the Armory here at Jasper, and that number is 812-634-5000, and you can reach me at extension 29 and Sergeant McCarthy at extension 36.
Of course, that number is listed on the bottom of your screen right now. Okay, can you give us a timeline or something of that nature to what happens when you contact a recruiter?
Well, the first thing that's going to happen, you're going to sit down with the recruiter and first find out if you're qualified to join the Army National Guard. There's a lot of physical reasons people can't, mental reasons people can't enlist in the Army National Guard. So your recruiter's going to sit down, he's going to ask you a lot of questions. If he determines that you're qualified to enlist in the Army National Guard, the next step would be going to MEPS. When you go down to MEPS, that's basically the process that is going to enlist you in the Army National Guard. After that, you will be assigned to a unit and you will start actively drilling until your ship date to basic training.
Okay. Tell us elaborate a little bit more on MEPS, what they do at MEPS.
Well, MEPS is, it stands for Military Entrance Processing Station, and what they do is an extensive physical to check your health and body. You're going to go through a lot of exercises to make sure that you're physically able to do the things that we do in the military. And after that, you will go through some, they're going to check your background and things like that. And then you're going to enlist after that. So.
Before we carry on any further, I know there's a lot of individuals out there who have spent time in the military and maybe want to get back into that kind of life. And the Army National Guard is definitely the way to go with that. Tell us a little bit about prior service individuals.
Well, prior service, I'll talk about that one because I was a prior service guy. I joined the Army, active duty Army for 10 years, got out, and then I came back into the National Guard. Basically, right now we're offering a $7,500 bonus for a 3-year enlistment for a prior service guy that's qualified, and $15,000 for a 6-year commitment. So there's good benefits there. If you've done any kind of time, it doesn't matter what branch of service, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines. We have several prior Marines in our unit here in Jasper. You can come right into the Guard, keep the rank that you had for the most part usually from your prior service, and get your enlistment bonuses and continue your military service.
Can you tell us the difference between the Army National Guard and the active duty component?
The biggest difference is we both train the same. We both go to the same basic trainings. We get all the same training. But when you want to go active duty Army, you're going to actually go to the MEPS processing center just like you do for us. But once you leave for boot camp, you basically get shipped out, you do your boot camp, and then you'll go to a duty station somewhere, most likely in the United States, for a first duty station.
Another large difference in the Army National Guard and active duty component, of course, other than the fact that we're a part-time organization, we have a federal and a state mission, which means that, you know, at any time that the state needs us, they can contact us and use us for anything and everything from natural disasters to helping at a local fire or something like that. On the federal side of the house, our unit here at Jasper has been deployed to Iraq, so that's kind of the federal side of the house, and then you've got state too, so we're kind of a double useful organization.
Now, if you join the Army National Guard, what are the possibilities of being deployed?
Well, you know, Indiana is a unique state when it comes to National Guard. As of right now, I believe the numbers are there's been over 12,000 soldiers and airmen in the Indiana Army National Guard that have deployed overseas or in the continental United States. And those missions have been anywhere from guarding ports in Florida and Texas to Hurricane Katrina relief, to Bosnia, Kosovo, Horn of Africa, and then obviously Iraq and Afghanistan. Everybody sitting here has either been to Iraq or Afghanistan in the last 3 or 4 years. There's always the possibility of a deployment. Usually deployments last for a year, boots on the ground in the theater of operations that you go to. Obviously there are some things that you know, the federal government is working through as they look at force structure and how things are going to pan out in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the number of troops that are going to be there in the future, and then other theaters that are developing. You know, anybody who watches the news knows there's things going on in North Korea and Iran and other places too. So normally what happens is, you know, a unit is alerted to mobilize. Those soldiers work out issues with their employers, family, so on and so forth, show up at home station here at Jasper or whatever armory they drill at. Then they go to Camp Atterbury, and they normally train for about 30 to 45 days, and then they deploy overseas. It's normally for a year. I've been on a 9-month deployment, and then I've been on a year deployment. As far as there's no way to forecast when deployments are going to happen. I can tell you that the state is moving towards trying to have soldiers deploy no more than once every 6 years. And that's based on the plan of the federal government and the Department of the Army as they're looking at forces that are going to deploy.
Okay. Now, there are actually 2 routes that you can take to enlist in the Army National Guard, officer and enlisted. Can you tell us the difference between the 2?
Basically, enlisted, if you don't know anything about the military, it's Sergeant Stetter and myself are both enlisted. And you would start out as a private in the military, move on up the ranks, and you're basically the workers. And then you can progress up to leadership positions within the enlisted ranks. And basically, the enlisted people are the ones that get the job done, for the most part. And on the officer side, the officers usually are the one that get operation orders and give them down to the enlisted people to then execute the mission.
Captain Mabis, can you tell us a little bit about the officer side of the house?
Yeah, as Sergeant McCarthy said, there's really two routes you can go. There's the enlisted side, in which you would pick a military occupational specialty like infantry, medic, signal, so on and so forth. Enlisted soldiers are generally specialists. They specialize in one area, like infantry or signal support, medic, so on and so forth, or even a cook or truck driver or something like that. The officer route, officer careers are divided into branches. There's the infantry branch, there's the armor branch, aviation branch, transportation, ordnance branch. There's a whole bunch of different branches within the officer corps. And really, an officer is a generalist. An officer is exactly what Sergeant McCarthy said. He's the officers and the senior NCOs, for that matter, senior sergeants, so on and so forth, are the planners. They're the guys who make all the operations orders, and they're the ones who do all the planning. And then guys like Sergeant Stetter here are the guys who get it done, and they're the executors.
Okay, how do you become an officer in the Army National Guard?
There's a couple ways to become an officer in the Indiana Guard. Really the two major routes that you can take are ROTC, and then the other route is going to officer candidate school. To join ROTC, there's a couple different ways you can join ROTC, and that's one branch of becoming an officer. To join ROTC, you can either be prior service, like any of us, or you can be non-prior service. Any college student who wants to enroll in an ROTC class with no prior service can enroll in an ROTC class and try it out and see if they like it. If you're prior service and you go to basic and AIT, or you're a prior service soldier and you enroll in college, as long as the college that you go to has an ROTC program, you basically jump over the first 2 years of college and go right into the third year of ROTC. On the officer candidate school side of the house, normally to start officer candidate school for the state program, you have to have 60 credit hours at an accredited college, and you enroll in the officer candidate program, and you drill for 1 year with the Indiana Military Academy, and it's really a school setting on your weekend drills. There's a couple other routes you can take. There's a federal OCS, which is down at Fort Benning, Georgia, and that's 13 weeks straight through. And then there is also there's a National Guard Bureau accelerated OCS, which is 8 weeks straight through. Both of those require you to have 90 credit hours of college prior to enrolling in those.
Okay, what are the benefits of becoming an officer?
Probably the biggest benefit, and I've been enlisted. I was in the ranks with Sergeant McCarthy and Sergeant Stetter, and I was enlisted for 6 years, and then I became an officer. Probably the biggest benefit that I've seen and that I've experienced is the leadership aspect of it. I've gotten to in my career, I've been an officer longer than I've been enlisted now. Probably the greatest joy that I've had is being a company commander, being a platoon leader. I was a company commander of an infantry company in Afghanistan, and just being able to have 160 soldiers that all kind of look to you and your first sergeant for guidance and what to do, and then helping them work through family issues and work through deployment stuff and work through, hey, am I going to re-enlist? Well, here's the benefits of re-enlisting. Just it's almost like becoming a parent, for a bunch of guys, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. You get to really influence. You get to influence people's lives.
Now, obviously, there are two ways to be in the Army National Guard: enlisted and officer. Also, there's a lot of different jobs that the Army National Guard can offer you. Tell us a little bit about the different kinds of jobs that you can do for the Army National Guard.
Well, there are a lot of units in the state of Indiana. A lot of them serving infantry. Is
Roger.
that correct?
That is correct.
In an infantry unit such as Jasper, we have everything: transportation, medics, cooks,
communications.
We could go on and on with the slots that Jasper has, because it's a headquarters unit for an infantry battalion. There are other units up north by Camp Atterbury, engineer units. There's full medical units where actual people become officers and end up being physician assistants or something of that nature for the military. They may work an outside practice as a doctor, and then on their weekend drills or their 2 weeks in the summer, they're a doctor for the military and they work on Joe, on the soldier. So there's a lot of units out, a lot of MOSs out there.
Just to add to that, the Indiana Army National Guard, we kind of enjoy, like I said earlier, we've deployed so many soldiers and airmen, and part of that is because we have a very aggressive leadership in the Indiana Army National Guard, and we have actually, I think right now we have the 5th largest National Guard in the nation, behind states like Texas and California, Pennsylvania, and I think Minnesota is larger. So we rank fairly high as far as size of the National Guard. Based on the size of our state and population, we have a huge National Guard proportionally. And because we have such a large National Guard, we have almost every MOS, every job specialty for both enlisted and officers in the state of Indiana.
Usually, Ty, what I tell people is if it's out there in the civilian world, you can do it in the uniform as well. That, for the most part, that is a true statement.
And that's free training. It's
Absolutely.
free training.
You get paid for that. I mean, you're going to get active duty pay while you go to your school. You may get separation pay if you're married, basic housing pay, things like that while you're getting your training, as well as college credits. A lot of military training, especially in the medical field, that is a lot of college credit hours that you receive from that, and those are classes that you won't have to take out in the civilian world. Just one more benefit of the Army National Guard.
Okay, and we'll be talking a little bit more with Sergeant Stetter, Sergeant McCarthy, and Captain Mabis right after this on 27 Topics.
If you or someone you know has a talent to showcase or an event to promote on 27 Topics, please contact this station.
Welcome back to 27 Topics, talking to Sergeant Stetter, Sergeant McCarthy, and Captain Mabis of the Indiana National Guard. Let's talk a little bit about, I know a lot of people who want to join the military, they're worried about basic training. So let's talk a little bit about what you learn in basic training and what basic training is like.
I'll try to answer that one, Ty, but basically my 17-year-old son's in basic training right now, and he's wrote home and, he started out, "This sucks, Dad, why'd you do this?" And then he's like, "Just joking." He's like, "It's not too bad." He's like, "Drill sergeants are a little rough at first, but they're calming down now." And basically what the basic training teaches you is the basics of the military. It teaches you how to wear a uniform. It teaches you how to march. They teach you basic rifle techniques. They teach you all the basics of the military. My son went rappelling. They went over NBC, which is nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare with him, where he got CS gas in a little chamber, and he said he came out coughing and hacking, so I guess he liked that pretty good. But what about the basic?
Everybody's seen the basic training movies,
yes.
Ty, and everybody worries so much. Every one of my enlistments are afraid to go to basic training, and that's a good thing. That's natural. Basic training is similar in the yelling and things like that as what the movies portray, but not as bad. Their basic concept behind basic training is to break you down, not so much from who you are now, but from your habits as a person now. And from there, they start building you up after about the first 2 weeks. They put you at ground level and build everybody up the same. It's kind of everybody has the same beliefs in the military, the same values. We live by a code in the military, the leadership values, and that's just kind of part of what basic training is for. Is it fun for the most part? You do a lot of fun things, but everything comes with a price. Sir?
Boy, it's been 17 years since I went to basic training. You're exactly right. I think what the biggest purpose of basic training is it breaks everybody down to a baseline level, and then it builds everybody back up, just like you said. And I think the biggest thing to take away from it is, and really the other thing is, it's team building also.
Right.
It's taken everybody, taking away all their individuality, breaking everybody down to the lowest common denominator, and then building everybody back up and instilling the belief that the team is more important than the individual. And that's really and that carries on into any other school that you go to, officer candidate school that we talked about earlier. It's all about team building and things like you never leave a fallen comrade, that concept. Everybody else is more important than you, and everybody together as a team is more important than any one individual.
Now, I know I went to basic training last summer, so I'm pretty well the new guy on the block here. But from what basic training, basically, everyone remembers the old Army slogan, be all that you can be. And basic training really does show you what you were capable of that you never thought you could. I mean, I did some stuff in basic training that I really never thought I could do. I have a fear of heights. I mean, before I went to basic training, I couldn't climb a ladder without getting queasy. And here I am rappelling off some 40-foot wall, and I'm, just that pride that it gives you. You're just like, yeah, there we go. Bring it on.
Let's
give
do
me
it.
some more.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. And when it's not your choice, it's a choice that you make for the team. It makes that choice so much easier. And again, back to what Captain Mabis was saying, that's exactly what they teach you and train you to be, is a team.
Another misconcept on basic training is you don't have to be in shape to go to basic training. I mean, you might want to be in shape, because once you get there, you're going to get in shape.
Yes.
When you first get to basic training, they're going to start everybody off at a really low level. So if you're, some guy plays football or a girl that runs track or something, you're going to excel in the physical fitness area. But they're going to start everybody out at a low repetitions, and then they're going to build you up. So by the end of basic training, the people that weren't good at it should be pretty good at it.
Now, it is a great weight loss program if that's what you're looking for, because I know I lost 45 pounds in basic training, and just what I could do. I mean, I was just a completely different person when I left basic training. I was someone better, basically. Now, after basic training, then you move on to AIT, which teaches you your individual skill in the military. Tell us a little bit about AIT. I know there's many different AITs because there's many different occupations in the military. Tell us a little bit about what you learn at AIT.
Basically, AIT, you're gonna learn your specialty. If you sign up to be an infantry guy, you're gonna go to AIT and learn a little bit more advanced than you do in basic. You're going to learn how to shoot your weapon and how to move in a group in basic training, but you're going to learn how to do that in a squad and platoon size element in AIT and how to do it well. And then AIT could be, if you're going to be a medic, AIT for them is 4 months long. So, and they learn all sorts of different medical things, and theirs is more like a college setting.
Now, let's talk about the reasons why to join the military. What was your reason for joining?
Honestly, I joined to get out of the house. I was 18, and I was like, I don't want to live with mom and dad no more, so I'm out of here. So I joined and went away.
For me, it was more of a pride thing. I wanted to do something that most of my friends hadn't done. I always liked the way the uniform looked. And, that seems like a dumb reason to up and put, your life into something that you know nothing about just for a uniform. But I have to say, when you put an American flag on your shoulder and you let other people see that, it does something for you.
Definitely.
Ditto.
The main reason I joined is a buddy and I started our first semester of college, and it wasn't going so well. And we were immature. We were right out of high school, and we finished a semester of college with really dismal grades, and we decided that we needed to do something to kind of give us a jump start. And from there, I mean, I've got 17 years of service now, and it's evolved into something totally different now.
Right.
Initially it was kind of getting away from
Right.
home and doing something different.
Right.
And then it's evolved over the past 17 years
to pride.
for me to just pride and service.
Now, I know one thing that I took from just basic training. Your basic training graduation felt better to me than my high school graduation felt. I mean, just the sense of pride and just
100%.
Accomplishment.
Not that high school's easy, but basic training is just something so much greater than yourself, I think. And when you can say, I did that, and your parents get to come down and watch you graduate, and you can show them, look at the things I've done, and you can almost feel them thinking, I can't believe my son did that or my daughter did that. And
Right.
it's just, again, a great feeling. I think we keep going back to pride, but that's where it's at.
Yeah,
Right.
it definitely is. Now, in closing here, let's give us the contact numbers to get a hold of the Armory if you were thinking about the military or just have questions that you want to ask. What's the number again?
The number, you can get a hold of us a couple different ways. 1-800-GO-GUARD is a good way to get an idea about the military and some information through a website. You can also go to www.1800.GoGuard or GoGuard. Or you can call us here at the Jasper Armory at 812-634-5000, and my extension is 29. Sergeant McCarthy's extension is 36.
Okay, so I want to thank Captain Mabis and Sergeant Stetter and Sergeant McCarthy for joining us today on 27 Topics.